So first thing I want to say is thank you for being here. I love all the kids. This is great. And I want to let you know that I love the sounds of children. You do not need to quiet your kids here. They get to run back into the back room where they can draw on the walls or do whatever they want. And then they can come back to their seats and then they can get up and run again. And I love it. Just so we're clear. So you don't have to worry about, oh no, is the kids disturbing everything? No, leave them alone. Let them do their thing. It's nature at its best, you know? So today I want the title of my talk for today is It Takes Courage. And what I'm really talking about is miracles. And how we relate to miracles. I mean, the Catholic Church will tell you that they're incredibly few and far between and have to be proven and this and that. And doctors will tell you that the placebo effect is a problem because it gets in the way of proving whether a medicine actually works or not, rather than the fact that isn't it amazing that there is a placebo effect and that people get healed without needing medicine, you know? There is in our movement the treat and move your feet that gets us into this space of, and there's the whole thing around magical thinking that makes us think, oh, you know, maybe this stuff isn't as real as it appears to be. And we miss out on the fact that we are surrounded by miracles, synchronicities happening all the time. I mean, I'm sure you've all experienced a day when, whoa, all the green lights were there and you just went through and a day just kind of worked out. And you go, whoa, I sure wish I could have more days like that. And you wish it as if it's like something you don't have control over, like you can't create, like you're not in that loop. And so that's where courage comes in. It takes courage to stand for the fact that miracles are happening all the time. And I have found in my life that it has taken a lot of courage to stand up against the logic and the common sense that my mind constantly wants to get me in line with. That I have to be willing to step outside what has been pounded into me since I was a kid. And so maybe you struggle with some of that too. But you must know that there's something more than that, or you wouldn't be sitting in these seats. You'd be someplace else. The courage it took for you to just walk through these doors and hear something that sounds a little out of what we normally have listened to throughout the day. This is different. This is something extraordinary that happens here through these teachings that allow us to see a life that is larger than the one we were told exists as we were growing up as kids. And so that's what's really going on here. And that's what we're challenging every time our logic or our father figure in our head or our mother figure in our head is telling us, hold on, this isn't logical, don't do it. It's up to us. And this teaching is beautiful for this, just beautiful. You know, it gives you a foundation of recognizing that there's a deeper truth to what is going on in the world. There's something, and then we get through the teaching, through taking these classes, we gain this idea of experience that I spoke about last week, of resting and strengthening and getting ourselves in a space of course, miracles are possible. They happen all the time. They're happening around us all the time. And if we're deep enough in this teaching, we're getting to actually experience a lot of that. It's showing up in our lives. And then after a while, it's like, no, this isn't just a once in a while thing. I really get to have this. as often as I'm willing to be courageous in my choice. I think about it like, what I'm really speaking to here is our soul's intention, what I'm calling our soul's intention, which is much larger than our ego self, which is our mind. Our teaching, unfortunately, is named the science of mind. And I say unfortunately because the truth about our teaching is that it's what you embody that manifests, not just what you think. Now, there are people who focus so willfully on what they think they can create what it is they want, and all that can come from that smaller self, that ego self. So it's not like visualization doesn't, it's where I started. It's where a lot of us started, is with visualization, the idea of focusing your mind on what it is you want. But when you're focusing your mind on what it is you want, that is your smaller self, that ego, that is doing the focusing. Imagine this. Imagine you get into your car and you pull out your phone because it's got Google Maps on it or whatever app you use, and you punch in the destination that you decide you want, and you put it in there. And then what happens next is it tells you take a right turn, take a left turn, and all this. And all of a sudden you get to this spot where it says take a left turn, and your smaller self is like, wait a minute, I know where I want to head is to the right. But it's telling me to go left. What's going on here? What's happening? Those are the moments that your soul's intention is speaking to you, because you think you've put your destination into the thing and it ought to go there. And when it doesn't go there, this is when you might feel lost, confused, upset. Things aren't working. Things aren't working. This is where I said I wanted to go. But those are the moments where you have the opportunity to go, wait a minute, since I'm getting this feeling to go left, maybe there's something larger here that I don't know, that my smaller self can't see. And this is where the courage comes in. Can you take that left-hand turn when every part of your mind is telling you the logic, that's illogical. That doesn't make any sense. I know I have this inner feeling to go left. There's something in me that is saying to do this other thing. But my mind is saying, no, that doesn't work. What do we do at those moments? Because they make all the difference as to whether you get to experience awe or whether you get to experience struggle. Because if your whole beingness, besides your logic, which is driving you nuts about don't do this, don't go that way, it's not logical, it's not right. Those are the moments that I have discovered are the greatest. That's where pure magic happens. Magical thinking, absolutely. I believe in it totally. It has led me throughout my life in the most extraordinary of ways. The only times I have ever been messed up in my life is when I followed my logic. It's true. That's been my experience. And so how does this all work? You know, I've said to you before that the ego makes a great servant but a horrible master, that our soul's intention is the master and is doing its best to guide us. So where does the ego and the logic and all that come in? Well, once our soul's intention tells us to take a left turn, it's our logic that helps us know how to turn the car, make the move, navigate so we don't crash into the car in front of us. It's really good for stuff like that. So it's not about becoming egoless. I do not believe in egolessness. We have been given an ego, we have been given a mind, we have been given rationale for a reason, but it has its place and it keeps wanting to be in charge, and that's not its place. But it takes courage to recognize that. It takes courage to be with that, especially in those moments when you're feeling that inner struggle. If you're feeling an inner struggle, what's going on is the difference between your ego and your soul's intention. That's the struggle. So having the courage to go, wait a minute, I need to get quieter here. I need to listen deeper. Take a little bit more time. But they're so urgent. Your ego, it's so urgent. I've got to get this done now. No. I'm going to take that little extra time to relax into myself. This teaching helps us do that. It helps us to trust in a deeper way. One of the sayings of our teaching is, nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. Now, if you've ever been sick and been diagnosed with something, you may have felt like, actually, there's something to be healed. Right? And yet, there's a truth to be revealed. Anytime you have an experience of illness, sickness, or something that you think needs healing, an emotional wound, there is a truth to be revealed that your soul's intention already knows. Now, maybe you're one of the lucky ones who has felt and been in touch with the entire picture that your soul's intention holds for you. God bless you if you've been able to do that. For me, it's been more like a GPS. I get the next step. That's it. The next step. The courage I've had to build has been in the not knowing. I don't know where this heads. I don't know where I'm going. I just know this is my next step. I didn't know until yesterday when we asked a homeless person to not be sleeping inside our yard that taking on the homeless issue in this town was my next step. I'm very clear now that it is. And I am excited as all get out to take it on and get involved with other. We had a conversation yesterday where I learned that there are other churches of different faiths who are already involved in this that we might be able to partner with. And then all of a sudden, I thought, this morning I was talking to Ash, and I said, this kills two birds with one stone, because I've been wanting to do some interfaith work, and here it is. But I didn't know this till yesterday as what my next step was. And that's how it works. That's, when you get that thrill, that excitement, and I don't even know how we're going to do it. I know what my next step is. I have no idea what the result of it's going to be, but I'm excited as all get out. And that's what's possible when we open to this idea and willing to follow with the courageousness of, this is it. This is what excites me. This is what enlivens me. Because our soul's intention, 10 years ago, Ash and I made a choice. Our choice was to no longer treat, which is in our movement, for those of you who are here for the first time, it's our form of affirmative prayer. We made a choice to no longer treat for specific things, like a new car, more money, even health. We changed our prayer to full, flourishing life. And in doing so, we let go of whatever it would look like. And by that, allowing our soul's intention to move forward because it was no longer banging up against our ego's idea of what it should look like, which is what happens. We get an idea, this is what it should look like. And then when something comes up that doesn't look like that, we go, no, that's not it. Am I the only one that's done that? And so this is our chance, right, to get beyond that. So that's what Ash and I decided. You get to decide this for yourself, but we said we're letting go of all of what it looks like, going for the quality of full flourishing life and allowing it to show itself. And since then, our lives have skyrocketed in terms of the joy, the enliveningness that just continues to flow into it, which is what I'm here to share with you today because I want it to flow into your life. You know, miracles are happening all the time. I've told you guys before about the cabin in the woods. How being in that cabin changed me for 2 years of just being with myself and starting to understand these principles at a whole different level. I came out of there, and my life has just been extraordinary ever since. Well, before I was in that cabin in the woods, I was still living at a house with my ex-wife, who every day was berating me and telling me how because I had no money and no job, I was never going to move out, and what a loser I was. And that was my day-to-day. Until one day, but me, I kept holding, because I had been in this teaching, that the truth is this works. This works. Somehow this works. And then all of a sudden an ad shows up in Craigslist that says, cabin in the woods, free rent in trade for fixing up the cabin. And I jumped on that, and I wound up getting that cabin in the woods for 2 years. And the thing about it is if I had a job and I had lots of money in the bank, I would have rented a place and maybe never had the time or the solitude to gain the kind of realizations I did. Nothing has done more for me in my life than those 2 years in that cabin. And so it was brilliant that it happened just the way it did, a miracle. I mean, how often do you see a place for free rent that works out so darn well? My son. Now, most people call their kids miracles, and they are. I found out after my son was born that because I was so sick as a kid and all the drugs and steroids they gave me, that they had told my mother that I was sterile and would never have kids. She chose not to tell me that until after my son was born. A miracle. Meeting my wife, my brilliant wife. She decides to post a video on Facebook, an extremely vulnerable video about her back surgery. And then 5 minutes later, decides that's too vulnerable, I'm pulling it back down. Out of a 24-hour day, I get on Facebook during those 5 minutes, so it comes through my feed, and I am introduced to the woman that changes my life. A miracle. I am going to be 68 this year. And if you've read any statistics, people in my age group don't find jobs of their dreams that are the perfect and right job at this time of life. I have. A miracle. Some of you know that back in July, I was in the hospital. I almost died. 2 weeks ago, I had a follow-up with the doctor. One of the doctors that monitored me in the hospital. He walked into the room, shook my hand, and said, "Congratulations on being alive." He said, "Our experience is that people as sick as you aren't. It's a miracle." That's what's happening all around us, all the time. We have these miracles that are right here, right now, but they take courage in making a stand and having that level of trust to experience them. I have found this teaching got me there, to where I trust absolutely in the full flourishing life that is here for each of us when we follow our soul's intention. The more you immerse yourself in this teaching, the more you get to experience what I'm experiencing more all the time, what others in this room who have been in this teaching are experiencing all the time. Les. Ash and I got invited to have dinner over at Les's house this past week. Yummy Food and Company. And he was telling me that a little over 10 years ago, he gave me permission to tell you guys this. He had to declare bankruptcy. And that it was through finding this teaching that he was able to turn his life around and get it to the point in which his life so flourishes, is so abundant, that he recently contributed $8,000 towards our music program. That, along with the $4,000 we raised at the fundraiser, covers 50% of our music program for 2024. That's what's possible. To grow, to shift, to change beyond our own imagination. That's what's possible for each and every one of you here today. And I know that for you. Thank you. I love you.